Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Single Mother by Choice. My name is Martine, and so this is the first video I'm recording since giving birth to baby girl. Woo-hoo. So she is sleeping and I have very little time before she stirs and starts waking up. So let's just get into the second part of my labor and delivery story. So where we left off is that I was discharged from the hospital for preterm labor after 5 days. They checked and saw that I was no longer contracting, that I was not dilating any further. So they're like, okay, you're good to go home. And I wasn't spotting or bleeding anymore at that point. It had subsided. So they sent me home. I was home for about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks before it happened again. So it slowly kind of built back up to a full-on like clots, sorry, TMI, clots and blood. And so they told me at that point, like, if that happens, just come straight to the hospital. Don't even call us. Just come straight there. And I also thought perhaps I was feeling some mild contractions. I wasn't sure. So along with that, my mom and I were like, let's just go. So that was a Wednesday. We went to the hospital and they immediately said, yep, we're admitting you. Baby was head down. She was, starting to get herself in position. I think I had dilated a little bit more at that point as well. So they definitely were like, you're not going home. You're going to come and you're going to be here until you deliver, basically. So a couple of days went by and I was still experiencing blood, but I wasn't feeling the contractions anymore until early Saturday morning. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I think these are contractions. And by the way, for the past couple of nights leading up to that, I didn't sleep more than 3 hours. I think over the course of 2 nights, I slept 6 hours total and I was exhausted. So I'm like trying to sleep and then I started to feel something. I'm like, that definitely felt like something. So I'm like, whatever, I'm tired. Let me try to sleep. 3 minutes later, felt it again. And so I started keeping time, and about every 3 to 4 minutes, I was having a contraction. I was feeling something. And then they were progressively getting stronger. So I called the nurse and I was like, something's happening. So she put me on the monitor, and definitely I was experiencing contractions. They were also monitoring the baby and the heartbeat. That was really hard because when you're having contractions and you have to stay in bed, it was just really bad. Especially I was having back pains, back labor. So being in certain positions was uncomfortable. And so while they wanted to keep the baby on the monitor to monitor her heartbeat and make sure she wasn't in distress. So it was hard for me to kind of move around and get into positions that I felt were comfortable. At some point I was like, listen, lady, I use the excuse of having to go to the bathroom a lot. So I'm like, you need to take me off this monitor. I have to go to the bathroom. And then that would help me like feel better because I was moving around. And I was able to position myself in ways that were more comfortable. So around 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe an hour, 2 or maybe 4 in the morning actually, they decided to transfer me to labor and delivery because at that point I had been in the pre-delivery area, and so now they were like, okay, this is go time, this is where you're going to give birth. And it was really nice. It was a private room, it was a nice big space. And then right away when we got there was the area for the baby where they were going to monitor her and like bring her over to the NICU because so they were trying to hold me off to be 34 weeks. They didn't want me to, they were hoping that I wouldn't go into active labor before 34 weeks. And I just so happens that my body was like, yep, it's go time right at 34 weeks. So they prepared the room so that the NICU team could take the baby and like take her off to the NICU because that's just their protocol, to take her there and make sure she's okay. So I was in the room and man, little by little for 8 hours I was contracting without medication, unmedicated, and every 3 minutes for like 8 hours, every 3 minutes. And they weren't getting that much worse, but it was constant and I hadn't slept. So I was exhausted and I thought, if I have to push this baby out, I'm just like this, like I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna have the energy. And this wasn't even the worst of it, because I was only dilated at that point, I think 4 centimeters. I'm like, if this is only 4 centimeters, damn. Like, I don't have, not that it was so painful I couldn't handle it, but I was so tired, and it was every 3 minutes, and I couldn't sleep, I couldn't relax, and you're strapped to the bed. So that's why, I always said I wanted to give birth at home or just in a different area where I'm not hooked up to things, because you can move and position yourself in ways that are more comfortable. But when you're strapped to the bed, literally I have IVs everywhere. I have, they're monitoring the baby. It's just, you're just stuck on your back, and that's where I was having labor, was like back pain. It was so uncomfortable. So I gave in, and I was like, I want a freaking epidural. I'm like, bring in the doctors. I'm like, where's the anesthesiologist? So within an hour, they came in. They asked my mom to leave, which I don't know why. I wish she had been there, but they did ask her to leave. I don't know if that's protocol. At that point, I'm like, just give me the drugs. I just wanted to sleep. I was so tired. And so they did. So this is a teaching hospital. Love Stony Brook. My experience there was overall very good, but it is a teaching hospital. They have interns and residents and things like that. So they had a resident come in, and the attending was there too. There was a supervising physician there, but the resident went in to give me the epidural, and man, excuse my language, but he fucked up twice. And at that point, it was so uncomfortable. I'm already contracting. They have you like hunched over. I'm holding on to a nurse in the front. They're like poking around in my back. And it was so uncomfortable. I'm like, listen, this is worse than a contraction. I'm like, I'm good. After the second time that he messed up, I was like, I'm good. I'm going to stop here. I think I'll just deal with it. And the attending was like, no, we got this. I'm going to do this. So she took over and, of course, got it right. And I am a bigger person, so I don't know if that was part of what caused the mess up. But because he didn't get it right the first 2 times, and I guess I leaked spinal fluid or spinal fluid, not cervical fluid, spinal fluid. There was a risk for, after giving birth, there was a risk for, severe headaches and all these other symptoms that come along with that. So, but, at that point it was too late. It had happened. The attending did a good job after that. And man, was it night and day. I have to say, I was one of those people that was like, I'm going to do it natural. I'm fine, which is fine. Like, I think had I had enough sleep, I would have had the energy to power through. But I hadn't slept in 2 nights. And I'm serious, like not more than 6 hours. And it was constant every 3 to 4 freaking minutes for over 8 hours. And I was like, you know what? I'm not a hero. There's modern medicine. I'm just going to do it. And what I liked about it is that they didn't over-medicate me. So I still felt the pressure from the contractions, but I didn't feel the discomfort from the contractions. So that really helped me to push. So when it was go time, so that they did that, and then at some point, I'm all over the place. So I did get the epidural. I felt more comfortable. They gave me something to relax, and I just passed out. I slept for a few hours at least. When I woke up, they decided that they were going to induce me. And I was a little bit worried about that. I'm like, inductions. I heard this can lead to C-sections, and I had a lot of questions about it. And they said, no, we're not going to just plow you with Pitocin. We're just going to go up by very small increments and see how your body reacts. We're not going to have you go into full blown from mild contractions to suddenly your body is just raging. So they did do that, and they only went up twice in the dosage, very slowly over a period of maybe 4 hours before I reached, I was fully dilated, and I reached Zero Station or whatever that was. I don't remember. I was not in the right frame of mind to remember all of that. But anyway, I was like ready to go after 4 hours of like slowly just getting me through. Now, the thing that really saved me, besides like the slow increments with the Pitocin, is this nurse who brought in, it looks like, what she brought in looks like one of those like workout balls, you know, that you sit on, but it's in the shape of a peanut. And she's like, girl, this is gonna help you. Before you know it, that's gonna just help that baby get herself into the right position. So she put that between my legs, and I tell you, the minute she put that peanut ball between my legs, that baby was just like making her way through. She's like, don't push yet. It's not time. The doctors aren't ready for you yet. And I'm like, then take that ball away from me, because after literally maybe 20 minutes of using the ball, I could feel her in the canal, like she was ready to go. And I was secretly pushing. I was kind of pushing. But anyway, within maybe an hour of that, the team came in, and it was a team. It was maybe, I swear to God, 15 people in the room, because you had the NICU team, you know, the nurses and the doctors from the NICU team. Then you had the people taking care of me. Then you had my mom, and then our family friend Jacqueline was there. So it was a team of people, and within like 20 minutes, they're like, okay, get ready. You know, they positioned me legs up in the air and started pushing. And they're like, push like you're going to the bathroom. They're like, that's the key. And again, for me, the key, I was worried that having the epidural would numb me so much that I wouldn't be able to feel anything and not know how to push. But they gave me just enough that I could actually still feel when I was contracting, but just not feel the pain of the contractions. So I could still work through them. So that's exactly what we did. Every time I had a contraction, you know, I bared down, legs up, and then like pushed for my life. And literally it took about 15 or 20 minutes from the time they came in, the team of people, from the time they came in to the time she was out. It was like maybe 15 or 20 minutes. Amazing. And they're like, oh my God, you're such a good pusher. And the minute she came out, literally within seconds, I was like, wow, that was easy. And they looked at me like, easy? No one's ever said that before. But they made it easy for me. I was blessed to have like people around me that, I mean, with the exception of the resident who messed up, everyone else around me was really good. Oh, and I forgot too, there was a nurse the night before I gave birth. Like once I had gotten there was a nurse there that, I swear to God, during the night I was like, this bitch, I'm gonna kill her. But she helped me progress with my labor. Every half hour or so, she would come in and like flip me like a pancake. She'd be like, okay, turn to your side. And then she put like some pillows between my legs. And then a half hour later, okay, come turn to the other side. And I thought, man, can't you just let me fucking sleep? Let me sleep. But by the morning I had progressed, and then they, you know, wanted to progress me a little bit faster, but she really helped me get to a certain point, and that was because I believe she was just like flipping me all night like a freaking pancake just to keep things like going along. Yeah, everyone was really great, and they made it easy for me. I was able to do what I needed to do with their support. They were so wonderful. Labor and delivery nurses are like amazing, because that's who you deal with pretty much the whole time. The doctors don't show up until like the last second when you're ready to go. The nursing staff was amazing. Love them. So yeah, so Peanut came out, and they put her on my chest. then they had to whisk her off. She came out screaming like a banshee. She did not, they're like, oh my God, that's a premature baby. She doesn't sound like a premature baby. She came out screaming and wailing, like you could hear her from a mile away. And in fact, they told me later, like the nurses from the NICU told me, like she came into the NICU and they're like, who's that baby? Is that a 10-weeker? And they're like, no, she's a preemie. So she is small but mighty is what we like to say. So after they took her away, there was this nurse, again, the nursing staff, amazing. This nurse came in, or who was there. She started, again, I was like, this bitch. But they helped me, and I didn't know why, but it just, it was painful, but it was a good thing. She came up to my boob because they had to take the baby away, so I couldn't do skin to skin, and I couldn't, nurse her right then and there. So this nurse came in. Oh, let me check. Is she moving? This nurse came in and she started to like squeeze the hell out of my nipples. Like it was so painful. She was just like massaging my boob, but then squeezing the hell out of my nipple. And then she had this little syringe that she was collecting the colostrum with, and so she did both sides, and I had at some point just two women just going at my boobs and collecting the colostrum to go give to my daughter in the NICU. And she kept, she did that for like 15 minutes. I don't know how long it was. And she told me, like, gave me advice about massaging my breasts often, whether I'm in the shower or while I'm pumping. She said just use my hands a lot to massage, just to help the milk come in. She was wonderful. Even though at the time I was like, God damn it, I just pushed that baby out. It was worse than pushing. It felt more painful than pushing. That says a lot. But it was helpful in the end. I think that helped me a lot because right away she just started to do that just to stimulate my breasts and get what she needed to go give to my daughter, which I was grateful for. Also, after giving birth, I had to push. I didn't actually push. They got the placenta out, and that was a little bit tricky because once they got the placenta out, I was actually hemorrhaging a bit. So they had to give me a shot and a pill to help stop the hemorrhage. But again, they had no idea why I was hemorrhaging, but they did have a little bit of trouble stopping the bleeding for a little bit. It wasn't so much that I had to get a transfusion or anything like that. But they said, in the future, if I decide to have another child, it's important for my physician to know from the get-go that is something that happened in my last delivery. But otherwise, everything, all said and done, everything went pretty well, pretty smoothly. I do have to say, after giving birth, a couple of days after, I did feel the side effects from the spinal fluid being tapped into from the epidural. So I had a massive neck stiffness. It was so painful, not when I was laying down flat, but when I was sitting up or walking around. It felt like whiplash, or like someone took a bat to my neck. It just felt awful, and it just went up my neck into my head. And another thing that I experienced from that was the very rare thing, which is like this humming in my ears. So it felt like when people spoke, as if I was hearing them from being under, as if I were underwater hearing people talk. It was very clouded, almost robotic too. I referred to that a lot. It sounded like people were robots and just speaking. It just was really annoying. So I thought it would subside, and because I'm kind of like a trooper, I'm like, I'll just get through it. I didn't really say anything, and I was like, it's not that bad, it'll go away. But it was actually not going away. And because my daughter was in the NICU, I wanted to be with her, I wanted to hold her, and it was very uncomfortable. It was not good. So finally I did say something, and this freaking doctor, I don't think she believed me. She didn't want, because the solution to that is either you wait several weeks and it'll get back to normal, or you can have, again, like they can go into your spine and fill it up with your own blood to clog up that area where they leaked your spinal fluid. Anyway, so you could have that procedure done, and within hours or within a day, you will feel a lot better. And I said, you know what? I want to have that done before I leave the hospital because I'm so uncomfortable. And this resident came in to assess me, and I told her, and she's like, but you know, like women who experience this, like they can't even get up, they can't even they had like they can't move around. And I'm like, well, first of all, I'm not everybody. Second of all, I'm not a complainer, so I tried to power through, but I'm not feeling good. And so finally, like, I'm like, I pushed for it. I'm like, I'm not leaving here until you take care of this. Like, you all fucked up and you're gonna fix it. I'm not leaving this hospital until you fix it. So I spent one more night, and the attending who came in afterwards was amazing. And she did what she needed to do, and I asked her that it not be another resident. I said I would rather have somebody else do it, like you, the attending, the person with 20 plus years experience. I rather have someone like you do it than an attending or someone, or a resident, or someone who's learning how to do it. And so that's exactly what happened. And she was wonderful. She was patient. And that experience was good. And within a couple of days, I felt back to normal, thank God. So I think I'm gonna stop here. And the next video that I'll do is my postpartum update. So kind of what happened with me, what happened with baby girl, and how she's doing now. And you'll get to meet her then, because she's sleeping now. So you'll meet her next week, or next time I upload. I have to say that it was so hard to get back in front of the camera, not because I didn't want to, but because, newborn, she's fussy, she's gassy, I'm not sleeping, I'm pumping every few hours. So it's hard to even brush my teeth. So putting on some hair and makeup is not easy. But I'm happy I did it. I'm happy to share my story. I hope it wasn't too long or convoluted, but you will get to meet her next time, and maybe I'll share her name. We'll talk about that too. All right. Thank you to all the new subscribers. I can't wait to continue sharing this journey with all of you. It just may take me a little bit of time here and there to upload. I hope you understand, with a newborn, and kind of doing it myself is not easy. So uploading, it may not be so consistent, but I'm gonna try. I want to try because I like talking to you guys. All right, so I will see you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video with anyone who you think might find it interesting, and I will see you next time. Bye.